Good morning in the US and good evening in India and hello everywhere else in the world, wherever you're in California or Europe, wherever you are, greetings and welcome. If you can hear me, just say yes, all good. Thank you, Dermot. All good. I'm so happy to hear. Reboir Ishmael, welcome. And we have Nancy Success. Hello, Nancy. Swami Tapunidhi, welcome, Swamiji. And where are you, Swamiji? And Hari Kumar Parambi. Bapre, lovely name. Kolam Parambil. Shivoham. Welcome. So it's good to be back. I've been away for a few weeks, so I'm sorry about that. First time we had technical issues, and this time, last time I was not very well. I had a stomach issues to do with my liver. Normally I don't get colds, flus, anything like that, but my liver has been always been a problem since childhood, and it's so if you have healing ideas for the liver, please do send them to me. I would be very grateful for all suggestions. And the so let me it's wonderful to be here, and so many people are here now. We have Jazz Rhodes, hello. True Reality, greetings. Indie Man, good morning. Catherine, yay. Prem Yadav, hello. Lene Elders, good morning. Yana, good morning. True Reality, yes. Bridget from Sri Lanka, thank you. That's your real name. We have Tekken, Namaskaram. Guru, no, I'm no guru. I'm just a fellow traveler, on the journey. If I give you a mantra, I'm your guru, but that's it. That's all, anything. Then I have Neelam Chaudhary, my namesake. Hello, Pritam Ghosh. You said Bapre. Yes, I'm Bengali. And Namaste from Michigan. Shalim, well, I'm Bengali, but I didn't grow up in Bengal, but I speak Bengali. I grew up in Africa. So I was born in a country called Nigeria, and then I lived in Sierra Leone, then I lived in Canada, then England for 15 years in London, and then I lived in now the US, then in 10 years, then India for 14 years, first time in my life, and then now back in the US. So there you go. And Bhanumati, Dr. Haranji, welcome. Sam Glazer, welcome. Sushila Bhaskaran, welcome. Zimog, welcome from Arizona. Jazz Rhodes. Tristan, greetings, brother. Mary Magdalene from New York. I think you're from New York, right, Mary? Greetings. Shalimar. Are you the same Mary Magdalene with the Esoteric New York group? Yes, I think you are. Mary, eating cane and white radish seeds. Thank you. I will keep that in mind, Reboir. Thank you. Your knowledge and experience are too precious. Yes, I do practice some of your mantras. Good tech, and I'm so happy for you. Okay, Mary Magdalene. Sorry, I know another Mary Magdalene in New York, so I thought you might be her. Thank you. Solomija, welcome. Hello. And Sushila Bhaskaran, welcome. We're already up to over 60 people. Wonderful. So good. So today I wanted to talk to you for a little while, and then I'll answer your questions. So just slow down. Greetings. And I wanted to take you on a little journey into the esoteric ideas of consciousness that we have in Indian wisdom from Vedanta, particularly Mandukya and other Vedanta Upanishads, and that went into Tantra and Kashmir Shaivism in particular, Trika. And one of the greatest. Oh my! Okay, 1 second, please. My dog is whining. Come here, sit down. Quiet. Come on, sit down. Come on, sit down. Sit down. Good boy. Sit down. All right. And he wants to go out. So one of the greatest writings of any time of Hinduism or Indian culture was called the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, which was part of a book called the Rudra Yamla. Oh, by the way, if you are a member of my membership here on YouTube, I have posted my own translations of the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra as a course that you can do there. So all the videos are available there if you join. And otherwise, you can join the academy at 1000sunsacademy.com, and there you can do my foundation course, the Kundalini Code, and then study all these subjects like Trika. I have many courses on Trika. I have many courses on different things, so you can study. But in Kashmir Shaivism, the Rudra Yamlas which were written around, which were agams that were written about the 4th century, which were the foundation of what is called Tantra. In the agams, there was a particular agam called Rudra Yamla, and which was dialogues between Bhairav and Bhairavi, Shiva and Shakti, meaning consciousness and body, right? Energy and consciousness. And this wonderful dialogue, one chapter of it is called the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, right? Which is the knowledge of that which lies beyond knowledge, beyond wisdom. And so the knowledge of Bhairav, and Bhairav means the vast, formless, nothing, void, shunya, from which we all come, right? And the Dermot is posting the links if you need them, right? Oh, Prem, good. I'm glad your dog's there too. Yes, I have a black dog, so he's very, very Dattatreya. Yeah, and so the in the what happened with Abhinav Gupta in the 10th century did commentary and writing on the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, showed its Shmer Raja, and the whole teachings of the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra were this dialogue, right, of how to enter what was called the Turiya state. So the first treatise on the Turiya state was written in the Mandukya Upanishad, which is a beautiful short Upanishad that tells you how to meditate on Om. Om. And that meditation is a meditation on the Turiya state, the state in which you begin to perceive the absolute self, your jiva, your true nature. And the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra was a beautiful dialogue that showed how you can do that in any aspect of life and through Shiva, going back to Shiva consciousness. And this whole teaching was 112 little haiku type meditations that would take you deeper and deeper and deeper into Tuirya, this 4th state of consciousness. So before I want to explain to you these first 4 states of consciousness that is the fundamental of Indian wisdom. And then I want to talk about today a 5th state, which sometimes can be called Samadhi, sometimes can be called different things, called Turiyatita. So the first state of consciousness, in all the teachings of the Mandukya Upanishad, of later Shaktiism, of Tantra, of the Tripura Rahasya, which was Ramana's favorite book, was this idea of Jagrat, meaning the consciousness of the senses, the waking state, right? And what does that mean? That means that basically, if I am able to be completely aware using my senses in this moment, then I am awake. But most of the time, we are fooled by our senses. The world is a construct of our senses. So just imagine that all of reality, everything you perceive, everything you see, everything you sense, is being given to you by your senses. And then the manas, the mind, is taking that and creating reality for you, right? This illusion of reality, the Mahamaya. Now, what is happening there? So, the Jagrat state means that most of us are not awake in this moment. Right? Jagrat is the world of my senses. That means that what is called, it can be called a waking state, but really it's the state I construct by sensory information, right? So I think the world is this colorful world I see, or maybe a gray world on a bad day. It's the world I hear, the world I sense, the world I taste. All these feelings create the awakening state of Jagrat, right? And most people in Jagrat are functioning like animals, like we're just functioning. We're reproducing, we're being animals, we're biology, and we're dealing with survival, reality. But, and if we really fine tune our Jagrat state, we become like samurai warriors. We become steady. We become laser focused. We can increase our concentration. We can actually play with each of our senses to become super powerful, right? So the second stage of consciousness is called Sapna. And if you think about it, you are never really in the here and now. You're always thinking about something you knew, or a past, or a thought, or remembering, or you're always thinking about the next thing you're going to do, whether or not you're going to go eat something after this talk, or whether Raja is going to respond to one of your questions. You're always thinking about something, right? So this state of being, sapna, is also a superpower because it allows us to imagine what it would be like to be awake, what it would be like to be a higher state being, to have higher consciousness. And without imagination, without stories, we can't live in the world, right? We need to tell ourselves stories all the time, right? So the next stage on from that is called Sushupti. And Sushupti means, it's called deep sleep. Sushupti, literal translation. But what it really means is that if I get out of the way, then this world is automatically going to run. This body, blood will flow, stomach will digest, heart will beat, lungs will breathe. I don't have to do anything. Do you think I'm actually consciously running any of those things? They're just happening. The earth is continuously spinning, everything is growing. We are going around the sun's going through the galaxy. Everything is automatically happening. So a state of observation comes into being, that if I go in, let's just imagine when you have that delicious deep sleep that you experience, right? You come out of it and you feel refreshed. And you say, wow, that was the best sleep I've ever had. That deep sleep also happens when you do pull away from activity in the world, in the mind, in your senses, and you sit in meditation and you calm down. You begin to feel that bliss, that joy of automatic functioning, of just being in alignment with the flow of the universe. Wouldn't that be nice? Just to sit and breathe, to sit and know that I am part of this universe, this nature, this earth. Everything is in perfect alignment, everything is in flow. That state of flow, like runners and athletes have that state of flow. That flow, that, when you're writing something or doing something creative and you forget yourself and you just beautifully flow, that flow is the Sushupti stage, or in yoga it would be called dhyana, which is the ability to just withdraw and concentrate and just experience the world as a flow. No participation, no activity, just steady. That third state of consciousness is called Sushupti. Now, at this point, the Vedanta says there's a fourth state of consciousness. And Tuirya means fourth, number four, Tuirya, fourth. And if you want to read about it, you should read the Mandukya Upanishad. It's the best book on the Tuirya state. And it says that Tuirya state is my true self showing itself. That Tuirya state can be called sometimes the observer, the witness, the one who watches you doing and living and breathing and sensing and tasting and dreaming and just living. There's a you that's beyond the body, beyond the mind, beyond space, beyond time, that's observing. Almost like a deep tranquility of observation, right? This state, right, is the beginning of the dissolving of you as subjective and the world as separate from you. It begins to dissolve. That means it's no more what I see, what my perception is. I begin to sense that I am non local. I am bigger than my brain. I am bigger than my body. I am this whole room, this whole city, this whole group, all these people. I am all these things, right? And if I am in that state, then what happens is I become peaceful, tranquil, and observant, almost like a beautiful observer, just watching the dance of life play out. And that state is called the Turiya state. And one of the great ways to observe that state, and it's very easy, and I'll teach you two techniques today. One of the best ways to observe that state is that it is considered to be an in between state. You know, in between two thoughts, in between being awake and falling asleep into dream, in between dreaming and going into deep sleep, in between that object I'm looking at and that object I'm going to look at next, or this thought I'm having and the next thought I'm having, or this breath in and that breath out. That in between, the gap, right? That little space when your brain pauses is that state of consciousness. And all of reality, all of magic, all of exploration occurs in that little space, in that gap. So you take a deep breath and you hold it. And in that holding, you go into Turiya in your heart. You let it out, you hold it out. And in that holding it out, you go into Turiya. So Turiya is the state between all these other states of consciousness. So one of the beauties, the first three states, Jagrat, Sapna, Sushupti, are called Tripura. Tripura means the three cities, the three states, the three towns in my consciousness. And they are controlled in the tantric philosophy by the goddess Tripura Sundari, right? All those three states is the state of Shakti. I am alive. Every cell in my being is alive. Every cell is becoming conscious. Every cell, that's the Tripura Rahasya. And there was a wonderful treatise that Dattatreya, the great naked ascetic who traveled around India, gave to Parashurama called the Tripura Rahasya. And in the Tripura Rahasya, they describe three stories of these three states of consciousness. And the fourth state, Turiya. In the Shakti tradition and Tantra tradition, the Turiya state is also sometimes called the union of Shiva and Shakti. That means where the duality between my body, Shakti, and Shiva, consciousness, energy and consciousness, dissolve into one. They make love to each other. They become one. So Turiya, even though it is still subjective, me looking at Turiya, becomes me realizing that there is this dissolved universe I can enter, the state of consciousness. And that's where the void idea comes from, Shunya. It's the gatekeeper of that state of consciousness is called Bhairav, a form of Shiva. And Bhairav, the monster ogre you see in certain ideas, is a terrifying idea. Why? Why is Bhairav considered terrifying? Let's think about it for a second, right? You come through the three states of consciousness and you come to a precipice, right? On one side is the void, and on the other side is the beautiful Maya and dance of life, right? So if I turn around, back there is my family, my job, my lovely food I love, my sexuality, my music, my Kishore Kumar songs, or my disco, or my beautiful jazz, and everything is back there. And if I go look the other way, it's just pure nothingness, consciousness, void, and that precipice is terrifying. And that's why Bhairav sits there. That's why Bhairav sits at the gateway. Frightening you. And what is Bhairav doing? Bhairav is telling you, are you ready to give up all that to come to this side? So the seeker who gets to the precipice, Maya behind you, Shunya in front of you, Turiya state in front of you, two things happen to that person. And it's called the Bhairav Mudra also. There's a mudra for it. The Bhairav Mudra. Two things happen. One is they stare at this thing in terror. Oh my God, this is death. I'm going to fall into death right now. And the second thing they do is they get intrigued. You're curious. You want to go to the other side now. So you might then come back into Maya, but man, your life is effed up after that. Because now you have tasted the other side. So you come back and you look at your world, and this is where you get the concept of the dark night of the soul. This idea is you look at your life and you think all of this is transient crap. All this money I'm seeking, all this love I'm seeking, all these families I have, all these relationships I have, they're all just transient. They go to dust. They're all going to return to that void. So they mean nothing. They have no meaning. Yes, this is also when Kali cuts off your head. And when you look back at that world and you go, I don't get that world. I don't belong in that world. I don't belong there either because it's terrifying, but I don't belong in this world anymore. That's when you get the dilemma. The dilemma of existential dilemma. Am I spirit consciousness or am I material body and living in the world, right? And so you decide, very few people do, to go across the threshold into the hero's journey, into the void, into that space. So Hinduism is brilliant at this because Hinduism and Buddhism too created a whole bunch of levels and layers to take you to that state in a gentle, loving way. So you have 9 levels of Tripura Sundari to get you there. You have 36 tattvas to get you there. You can meet Shiva and go along the journey. You can go with gurus and guides who will take you there. So everything, whether it's the Devis or the Shaktis or the Shiva or the Ganas or the Ganesh or the Hanumans or the Ramayans, all these stories, or the Bhakti or the meditation techniques of Tantra and Mantra, are all just helping you on this progressive journey into the void, into the nothingness. And when you get to the nothingness, Shivoham, Shivoham. You become Shiva. You become consciousness. Right? So the promise is that if you let go, step by step, or suddenly, or instantly, you will become a universal being. So the state beyond Turiya, beyond the observation of that in-between state, is dissolution into becoming that mind of the universe, Shiva. And that's called Turiyatita, beyond Turiya, beyond the fourth state of consciousness. Isn't that powerful idea? So if you follow any of the tracks, Kundalini Yoga, Krama, Bhakti, Vedanta, Vaishnavism, Radha Krishna, Krishna, Vishnu, whatever you follow, Yahweh, Elohim, Jesus, the angels, whatever you want to follow, Mother Mary, those are all in between beings who are helping you on the journey to that dissolution state that most of us will only experience after death. And even after we die, the Buddhists say it correctly, and so do the Shaivism Tantras, and so does the Vedanta, that I get given a gateway and I can cross through the gateway to the void, or I can return over and over again until I am ready to go towards that liberation of the void. So, liberation means mukti, moksha, nirvana means, nirvana does not mean liberation. Nirvana means to blow out a candle. Poof! No more attachment to the candle. So when that absolute dissolution occurs, you enter into a state, if you're alive and you do it, then you enter into a kind of continuous ananda bliss state called nirvikalpa samadhi. Boom! Into the other side. But the good news is that if you are able to pursue Turiya, that means through the practice of mantra, or through the practice of breathing, or through the practice of meditation, or through the practice of observation, or any teachings you can find, the getting to Turiya, that in between airport lounge to the dissolution, you become a better human being. You become peaceful, you become tranquil, you become stronger, you live well, you don't get sick that much. You become the best version of you. You become a yogi. And you can live in the world. And you're always keeping one eye on the other side and progressing towards it over and over again. So, how many ways are there to progress to that nothingness? So many. You can go the Buddhist route, you can go the Shaivi route, you can go the Shakti route, you can go the Bhakti route, you can go the Vedantic route, you can go the route of no mind meditation, you can go the route of Om meditation, you can go the route of peaceful contemplation, ashram living, seva, karma, doing good. So many ways to get to that void. So the thing is that we experience the pure Turiyatita if we are let go of all our attachments, all our karma, and we can let go. So when we cut off our heads like Kali does, we dissolve our egos, we let go of all our karma, we can achieve that state. That is what all sadhus try to do, right? Then sometimes when you get to that state, many become what are called avadhuts. Avadhut means I come back to benefit all mankind to help them on their journey, right? So an avadhut, like Buddha was an avadhut, Mahavir was an avadhut, Dattatreya was an avadhut. We have many examples of avadhut in the last 100 or so years, like Vivekananda, like Ramakrishna, Ramana Maharshi, Neem Karoli Baba, Amrita Mai, all the mothers, all the great blessing monks, monastics, who gave up their lives to the bliss consciousness and then came back to serve mankind. We see this story over and over again of the avadhut. Then there are those who live fearlessly in the in-between world. You can call them aghoris, you can call them sadhus, you can call them who give up the world to live in that in-between world in the pursuit of liberation. And then there are those who live in the world and do good. shine the light, who don't go totally into the dissolution, but stay in the world and become good human beings. And for them, practices like Shakti and Devi worship and this bhakti, these really help keep them in that journey, right? So, choosing how you pass your time on the journey to Shunya, the void, Turiyatita, is the purpose of life. So, you hear this talk and you get it. There are three states of consciousness, all within the body and the mind. There's a fourth state of consciousness, which is this kind of in between space of Tuirya in the void. That's non dual, that's still Shiva Shakti, but there's still immanent beings in it. And then there's this absolute state of consciousness, the fifth state, called Turiyatita, which is the ultimate state of consciousness, where I become one with God, where I become Parabrahman, where I become one with my Atma and Paramatma become one. Is one, but separated by all these veils. Me and Parashakti become one. That is the promise. And it may not happen in this life, but the journey towards it is your destiny if you pursue the spiritual life or the mystical life. The journey is your true path. So, the easiest way to experience the five states of consciousness is to chant Om. Why? And the Mandukya Upanishad describes this beautifully. It says that the A in A, U, Om, A is Jagrat. The body, the senses, shutting them down. So if I take a deep breath and I do the Akara, then bring my senses under control. I bring my mind under control. I bring my body under control. I bring my fears under control just by ah. Then the next state, ooh, ooh is the heart center. Ooh, take a deep breath into the lungs and chant ooh, ukara, ooh. And this state is Sapna. That means I'm realizing that I am a higher conscious being. I can begin to visualize it, sense it, taste it. I'm imagining it. So I'm giving up all my dream states and I'm imagining the ultimate state I want to get to. Ooh. Then if I vibrate at the bridge of the nose here at the third eye, right there, with the makara, I'm vibrating at the Sushupti level. This is my brain shutting down so my body can become automatically conscious and meditative. So just by vibrating at the third eye, I shut down. So I go to the third eye. You can rub your third eye if you want and feel it. And then makara, So do it with me. Relax your body. Heart. Relax your heart. Let go all your thoughts and let the body just run itself. So the three states, take me through the body and the mind. So they're completely shutting down my body. And now I'm in automatic mode. So once I finish, the dot above the Om symbol is Turiya, which means the silence that follows Om. So I go Aum, and then I gaze up into the third eye, into the pure silence. and I sit in that silence. And the more I do it, I develop a thing called Keval Kumbhak, where I dissolve into Turiya state and become the observer. Aum. Aum. So if I meditate on Om like this, let's say I do that in this way 108 times, the more I stay in that emptiness at the end, the more I enter the Turiya state of the observer. And then a tipping point comes where I can dissolve from that state of stillness and observation into Samadhi, Turiyatita, vast, blissful dissolution. So, in a way, it is like when you get to the silence of Om, you forget your breathing, you forget your body, you forget you, and you tip over. That tipping over, sometimes called a mini Samadhi, may happen for a second or two, or may happen for 30 seconds, or may happen for minutes. But you go tipping over into the dissolution and you forget your body, you forget yourself, you forget your thoughts, you forget everything. There's not even the observation of the void anymore. You're gone. You are the universe. You are the mind behind everything. That state is called Turiyatita. And that is the state after the silence of Om. So, Om, silence, tip over. Try it. It's a good one, right? And then you come back into the body after and you say, oh my God, I am the vast consciousness of the universe. But I come back and I want to function well in this body. I want to function in this life. So I bring it back to my Muladhara. I tighten my butt and I go, Aham. So I am both body, Ah, and Hum. Cut my head off and become consciousness. Aham, Aham, Aham. And Aham is the Bij mantra of Parashakti. That means, Mother, in whose womb I sit, let me function well in the world and not get caught up while I remain with one focus on the super consciousness beyond. Isn't that nice? All the questions begin to answer themselves if you can cultivate that state. Then everything else you do, whether you do Shakti mantras or whether you do Kundalini yoga or whether you do Hatha yoga or whether you do Kriyas or whether you do Babaji Kriya or whether you do this Kriya or that Kriya or whether you do whatever you do, are just ways of fine tuning the vessel to go into those states of consciousness. Isn't that nice thoughts? So those are my thoughts for today. Thank you for sharing them with me. As long as you're living in the body, Swamiji, you cannot, you will come back. Because the mind connects me back to the body. And the mind is the portal through which I go to the Turiyatita. So as soon as I'm in Turiyatita. Now, if I enter a state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi and I feel continuous bliss streams for long periods of time, then what happens is that the body has to go into completely automatic mode to just survive then, because consciousness is going somewhere else. But I want you to think about it a different way. If you become God in Turiyatita, you become the mind behind everything. That means everything is running automatically, including your body and this world that you're living in. So it's not that you don't want to come back, you are everything. So therefore, everything is running through you. And therefore, you cannot look at another person and not see yourself in them because they are you. The plant is you, the animal is you, the earth is you, the planets are you. Everything becomes you. And in Kashmir Shaivism, that idea is called pratyabhigna, self recognition. I recognize myself in everything. So that means that if I get to that state of consciousness, or even Turiya, this life becomes better, healthier, successful. I become better at everything I do. Not the other way where I don't want to come back. I am there, but I'm managing all this beautifully. Right? Yes, I'm also a guru in the Amrita Nanda legacy lineage as well. Good. I hope you enjoy your Spain, your work in Spain. Thank you, Sol de Sirio. So Rebar says, do you witness the observer, or are they the same, or is it only the observer? What do you think? So if there's only one mind behind the whole universe, then there's only one real observer. And therefore, all of this is a projection of that one mind. And that one mind is your mind. Therefore, the whole universe is a projection of your mind, including this fake one that you're creating around you right now. So the idea is to withdraw through the tattvas further and further towards that infinitude mind, infinitude mind, so that you are seeing the whole play. Right? Hmm. Yes, James, your whole perception changes. Pritam Ghosh, can I chant Om mentally? There are three stages to Om chanting. Om done japa, meaning muttering it with from a, u, loudly tunes the mind towards that wiring. Then Om done muttering without sound coming out with your mouth moving is the next stage. And then Om done internally, silently is the third stage. And then absolute silence is the fourth stage. And then fifth stage is Turiyatita. Coming back is as an avadut, not necessarily. Coming back is as you cannot help but be compassionate. So if you come back, one of the outcomes and dilemmas of this journey is that you start feeling everybody's pain, you start feeling everybody's thoughts, you start feeling everybody's suffering. So you can't help but become compassionate. So you end up becoming an avadut just by that observation. Then Video Hive says the whole thing is about balancing Shiva Shakti. So, how to identify which part is more active and how to balance both. When you are in the observer mode of the Turiya state, you will look at yourself and see the imbalance. You will see whether the liver needs more work, whether your stomach needs more work, whether you're not breathing correctly, whether your vagus nerve is overactive and so you're too emotional, whether your prana is weak and you need to increase your prana. You will become the reader of all of this. Prem Yadav says, rather than the technique of staying in between breaths in day-to-day life gives relaxation, but also some lethargy and mental fatigue strain. What can be done? No, it is the lack of prana at the start of your work and the mental luggage you're carrying that causes tamasic behavior, lethargy. So, or the food you eat. So there are three things you can do. One is increase your energy in the morning by doing hatha yoga and exercise and walking in nature or whatever you can do. Second is move the energy upwards with prana, and apana pushes the negative tamasic energy downwards. And then that will naturally elevate you. So you have to just observe yourself as an energy being dissolving into the universe. It's like asking if God has a mirror. We see it itself, yes, perhaps as us, yes. It's funny because in Kriya Yoga, in the Babaji Lahiri Mahashaya teachings, they say that when you get to that Turiyatita state and you think you are seeing Shiva in meditation in your third eye, and you look carefully, you will find it's you, a tiny version of you sitting there meditating in perfect bliss. And that's when you realize that you are the one you were seeking. Hmm. I'm is the what happens when Om, which is Pranava, comes into me and into everything and pours down like the river Saraswati. That is the sound of I'm, the consciousness pouring into me. And then it comes into me and explodes and goes into every cell from my heart. That's Hreem. And then I return back to the source, and that's Shreem. I'm, Hreem, Shreem. So Om becomes I'm, and I'm becomes Hreem and Shreem. How does go and going to? We just did it today. So just do the Om chanting and you'll go into that space. Matangi says, I find that I'm talking, speaking less. Very good. The deeper I meditate, the less I seem to talk overall. This is the ideal state. Then, in the pauses, the things you say will be beneficial to all mankind. Swami Tapananda says, thank you. Yes, compassionate. Des Ivan says, thank you for summarizing the process. And then Todd says, how do you break through? I feel I almost get there during meditation, but it keeps fading. Intention. And willpower is the beginning, intention, and then begging for grace to come and take you to the other side. So ask it. Please take me through this. I have done all I can to get to this point. I can't go any further. I'm fading. You pull me through. And the mother will come and take you and pull you through. Or Shiva will come and take you and pull you through. Whatever you being you want will come and take you through. Loka samasta sukhino bhavanchu. Yes, that is the compassion that comes. You come for the benefit of all living sentient beings, right? What sound chanting should we do to get that experience? Om, I just taught you. Please do Om. Thank you. Can pregnant women meditate every? Of course. Please. Anybody tells you otherwise, tell them to piss off. Meditation is mind. Nefex, thanks, Todd. You're welcome. If you don't mind, can you tell me there's any way to deactivate Kundalini? Why would you want to deactivate Kundalini unless you're activating prana in the wrong way? See, the most people think of activating Kundalini as activating prana. It's just prana. You need to go beyond prana to the subtle grace of the Divine Mother. You're stuck in prana. So you're having ejaculation and orgasm after ejaculation and orgasm, and you think I can't control Kundalini. What nonsense! Kundalini is the mother. She is loving you. Let her heal you. Let her take you to the other side. Ida and Pingala, there's techniques I've taught before, so go and look at them. Often I experience this situation, just left and right nostril breathing will clear Ida and Pingala. Often I experience this situation. Tekken is saying, often I experience this situation. I think of something or utter a phrase, and later I witness the exact same word written or spoken by someone else. Do I see the future? Well, the more you do this work, the more intuitive you become. And one of the siddhis that comes with this level of intuitive, subtle behavior is precognition. So you begin to sense things before they happen, words, numbers, ideas. So, yes, you can cultivate it even further. It's a siddhi. So many ways, so many masters, so many philosophy. How to find the best way for individuals. I'm very curious and confused at the same time. Be your own effing guru, man. So I have done. I've spoken about Mother Kundalini Awakening. There's a video called in my videos called "How My Kundalini My Awakening." So go and look at that. During Kundalini awakening process, do we tend to understand the other person's thoughts or their vibrations? Dipti, that is a siddhi that comes after your awakening start to occur. Abhinav Kumar says, how can we go beyond dreams? You meditate. Om, do the Om. Abhinav Kumar, when light linga inside someone meditating happened in media on the third eye, Baba. Yeah, it's a gateway. That's a gateway. Just go through it to the next level. Can I chant Om at night? You can chant Om 24/7. How long must one sit to meditate? Till it feels right. I am my own master emerging. That's why it feels right. Okay. What I want you to understand today is that the simple chanting of Om takes you through the five states of consciousness if you really want to. Ah, O, Aum, Aum, Aum. So just meditating on Om is enough. And then when you bring that Om back into your life, it is Shakti coming into being in your body. Then you can go into all the mantras, and then it starts with Aim, Hreem, Shreem, Aim, Kleem, So, Hamsa, Shiva, Soham, Hasaka, Freem, Hasaksha, Malavarya, Om, Hasom, Sahaksha, Malavarya, Em, Saho, Sarupana, Rupana, Hitave, Swagurave, Shri Annapurnamba Saita, Shri Amrita Nandanatha, Shri Guru Shri Padukam, Pujyami Tarpayami Namaha. Then the Shaktis come alive in me, Kailarim, Hasakahalarim, Sakalarim. And then the flow of the Divine Mother comes into me. Ain, Klim, so Klim, Ain. And then I protect myself with the Divine Mother. Ain, Klim, so Klim, Ain. Ain, Klim, so Klim, Ain. Bhur, Bhuva, Swaha, Om. Big Band. Hum, Asra, Phat. And now I'm liberated. And I come back into the world. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you. And I'm glad to be back. I'll try and put the two videos together if I can. And hopefully, we'll have one video at the end of it all. Bye bye. Thank you. And so good to have so many of you with me today. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.